Hello.
Look who's here.
Dolly. This is Louis.
Hello, Louis.
Dolly. It's so nice to have you back where you belong.
I'm so glad to be back.
Are you looking swell?
Thank you, Louis.
Dolly. I can tell.
Does it show?
Dolly. You still glowing. You still growing. You still going strong. I feel the room sway and the band. One of our favorite songs. So
It was my favorite.
show some snap, fellas. Find old empty love. Dolly will never go away again.
Wow, fellas. Look at the old girl now, fellas. Dolly will never go away. Dolly will never go away. Dolly will never go away again.
It's 4 o'clock in Los Angeles. It's 6 o'clock in Chicago. And it's 7 p.m. in New York City. Hello, everybody. I'm Mad Dog DeCipio. This is America's Popcast. What's the buzz? I'm joined every week, God help me, by Amelia the Pitbull Chapman. How are you, Amelia? Amelia, unmute yourself.
I'm doing good. How are you?
So
Sorry
people
about that.
can hear you.
We had the
You
dog
almost-
barking loud.
You almost made my dream come true, Amelia. And we are joined by a very, very special young lady tonight. Tonight, I'm going to take you on the musical, magical legacy of composer, lyricist, producer, Jerry Herman, and to walk us through none other than his goddaughter, Jane Dorian. She is the caretaker of all things Jerry Herman. And Jane, welcome to What's the Buzz Popcast. I'm the Mad Dog. She's the Pitbull. Welcome. How are you?
I am so thrilled to be here with you guys. How are you this evening?
I am stoked and jacked. I got to tell you what.
Me too.
We had an amazing Monday night show that you tied into, believe it or not. I'm going to tell you how. I had Barbara Streisand's sister here, Rosalind Kind.
Yes.
And you know Roz, right?
Yes, very talented lady.
Incredibly talented. Even more so when she sings a Jerry Herman composition. And not one, but she sang two for us Monday night.
Which songs?
What she did, 2 songs from Hello, Dolly, and God Almighty, I forgot already.
Before the Parade Passes By, or It Only Takes a
Yes,
Moment?
ma'am. There you go. Yep, you got it. And what, let's see, what else did she do? Amelia, what else did she do for us?
Her newest one that
She did another Jerry song for us, and I'm just having a brain fart tonight, Jane. So just bear with me.
He was so in love with her. He just so mesmerized.
Oh my God, I was such a fanboy. You don't even know.
Yes.
So, welcome to the show. Listen, it's very casual here. I've seen other interviews you've done, you know, the kind of like stuffed shirts. We're not like that. We're very cool here.
Thank God.
We're very, very cool.
Great.
Yes,
Listen, we're your kind of people. Trust me when I tell you.
Clearly.
absolutely.
Let me tell everybody a little bit about Jerry Herman because I know who this guy is. I'm a Broadway file, so let me give you a little heads up on Jerry Herman. In 1961, Jerry Herman composed the score for his very first Broadway show called Milk and Honey. The success of the show garnered him his first, the first of many, by the way, his first Tony Award nomination, and it launched him into show business stratosphere. When I tell you, believe me. In 1964, along with the help of his friend Carol Channing, they got together and they produced this little ditty. I don't know if you've ever heard. It's called "Hello, Dolly." Yeah, maybe if you live under a rock, you might have heard about this. It's a hell of a show. Still singing it today, by the way. In 1965, when the Tonys were announced, Amelia, listen to this one. It's going to
Yes.
blow your mind. It garnered no less than 10 Tony Awards,
Wow.
17 nominations, and 10 awards for the Tonys in 1965. It ran from 1965 to 1972 and was seen by more than 2,500 audiences.
That is amazing.
Crazy stuff. That's just the tip of the iceberg with Jerry. I got more, but I want to hear from Jane tonight. I got to talk to you about this. You're Jerry's goddaughter. It must have been crazy growing up with that kind of like enormous shadow lurking around.
You know what? Shadow is the last word I ever would have used. Jerry was the most loving, magical, fun human being on the planet. The laughter, the humor, the intelligence was extraordinary. And I am who I am today, literally because of his, I'll just say, gentle tutelage. He was never the kind of person that was in your face. He would always say, look over there, or we would rename things.
Yeah. I heard, Jane, that he was very, very non-confrontational. He would, rather than involve in confrontation, he'd walk away, even when it came to creative stuff, unless he felt incredibly passionate about something, then he would fight for it.
Well, I would describe it a little bit different.
Okay.
Jerry was the ultimate collaborator, and he always worked for the good of the show. And, you know, sometimes he had to throw away an extraordinary song to make a scene work. There were times when he didn't, you know, agree with something, but Jerry always believed you got more with honey than you did with vinegar.
Yes.
But Jerry was always able to make his point. It's just that when he did it quietly, he did it nicely, and he did it definitively. And if they were smart, they listened. And if they weren't so smart, they didn't listen. And usually things fell apart. He was a genius. He knew what he was doing.
When just before you got in here, when we were doing the opening of our show, and I'm going to play it for you in just a moment, I put together a vignette of some of his moments. Let's take a look at this first.
Yes.
And then we'll have you talk about it.
Okay.
And I just think I love his music. I love his style because he was cool. The guy was the essence of cool. Watch this.
Well, hello,
Look who's here.
Dolly. This is Louis.
Hello, Louis.
Dolly. It's so nice to have you back where you belong.
I'm so glad to be back.
Are you looking swell,
Thank you, Louis.
Dolly? I can tell,
Does it show?
Dolly. You still glowing, you still growing, you still going strong. I feel the room swing and the band. One of our favorite songs, so
It was my favorite.
show some snap, fellas. Find old empty love. Dolly will never go away again.
Wow, 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 fellas. Look at the old
What an amazing legacy. That song here, we're talking about 60 years. Could it possibly be we're talking 60 years later?
Yeah.
And that show is still playing somewhere?
And everywhere in the world, some night, the curtain goes up on a Jerry Herman musical.
It's remarkable. It really,
But you
really
have
is.
to ask yourself, why is that? Why does his music and lyrics, why do they endure?
Oh, well, the answer is simple. The answer is blaringly simple. Simplicity.
Yes.
It's stuff people can relate to.
Yes. It's
Love and fun and family and the joy of celebrating the musical spirit.
Yes.
and there are two other layers to that too. I agree with everything you said. There's authenticity.
Yes.
And also Jerry was never afraid to tackle an issue. And if you look at Hello Dolly, what is that show really about? It's about second chances.
Yeah. Oh, God, yeah.
Mame fights bigotry. Lacage asks us to examine what is really a family. These are some pretty big issues. And your audience probably knows that Hello Dolly was the first happy musical after the Kennedy assassination.
Yeah.
And this country needed to heal. And that was an unintended gift. But I mean, even the song "Hello Dolly," Louis Armstrong. Do you remember the 45 records? You know, side A was this fabulous song, and side B was the total throwaway. So in the studio, one of the musicians just threw this song called "Hello Dolly." I guess it was on a pile of new songs. Louis Armstrong never had seen this before. He was just sight reading the whole thing. And look what happened. The song was so popular that it knocked the Beatles off the charts before the show ever opened on Broadway.
Pretty remarkable, isn't it? Pretty remarkable, isn't it?
I
really is.
So. But you know, you're right about the melody. You know, people would always say you could always hum a Jerry Herman song. Well, if you can't, somehow the music solidified or illuminated the lyrics that he wrote. And his lyrics were never cliche.
Yeah.
That's brilliant.
The one thing that is inescapable when you're talking about a Jerry Herman composition, I don't care what show of the literal myriad of shows, 50, 60 shows that I know of, that made it. It doesn't matter the context or the subtext of the show. It always came down to the simplicity and the beauty of that music, the medley. You leave the theater singing the main theme song in your head, or you're walking down the street.
Yes,
you're better for spending 2 hours and 45 minutes in the theater.
Yeah.
And that's what it's all about. You know, are you familiar with Milk and Honey, his score Milk and Honey? Mm-hmm. It is one of the most beautiful scores melodically you will ever hear. I've always felt that show demonstrated the promise, and Jerry fulfilled that promise throughout his entire career.
It's the show that it launched his career. As I said in my intro, that show skyrocketed him into the stratosphere of show business immortality.
It's
we're talking about a man who not just a lyricist. He's largely known as a lyricist, a composer, no question about it. But he's also a humanitarian, and he was quite generous, and he was quite gifted, and very generous with his gift. Almost, some people say, and Jane, you knew the guy, but they say almost to a fault he was generous. So talk to me about the human being called Jerry Herman.
Jerry Herman was generous, but he was always appropriate. And I will say, even with me growing up, Jerry didn't shower me with gifts. He always got me that one phenomenal gift for my birthday. But he understood children, even though he didn't have his own. You know, his parents had a camp, a children's summer camp, and Jerry was the musical director, and they did these incredible shows summer after summer. So he really, I think he understood kids pretty well. But in terms of his generosity, if someone had a question about music, he, as a young person, he would give it his all. He would give time, so much so that he established a foundation, the Jerry Herman Legacy, through the ASCAP Foundation. And for the foreseeable future, ASCAP will be taking a program to college-age students to teach them about musical theater, what works, what doesn't work, why you should write a song, and then offer scholarships to some of those musical theater students. Then in terms of his generosity, Jerry contracted HIV, and so I think one of the things that people don't realize, you're talking about his generosity, but he was courageous and brave when
absolutely.
He got on the cover of Pause magazine and said, I am positive, but it's not a death sentence. And he gave so many people the courage to come out and say the same thing. I still have life in me. And when his partner was dying of AIDS, he set up these small houses called Marty's House in Florida, because AIDS patients were being treated like pariahs. You couldn't give them a hug. And part of it was that we didn't know what the disease was all about. But he allowed people to die in comfort and with dignity. And like I said, if there was ever a reason, Jerry understood the difference between gratuitous giving and meaningful giving. And
Jane, let me right along that line there. Can you tell me? And I know that it was a thing for a while. I don't know if it still is, but you'll be able to tell me. Does the Los Angeles School for the Performing Arts still give the Jerry Herman Award?
They do, but Jerry wasn't really attached to it. So, which I think is kind of interesting. So, like one year I went and presented on his behalf, but they named it for him. And
I wanted to ask you about that because I know about it.
It's very exciting to go to see these kids compete their musical theater numbers, and he absolutely chose the right name for the award.
Absolutely.
Jane, I have a co-host named Amelia Chapman who was chomping at the bit.
Amelia, go for it.
Hey,
go ahead, Amelia.
Was there anyone that he had wanted to work with but never got a chance to work with?
Judy Garland. Great question.
Oh my God.
Oh my goodness.
Worship the ground she walked on. And I think if you
asked him,
well, true. But I think if you asked him if he had any sadness of not being able to work with someone, it would have been Judy Garland.
Goodness, yes.
Another thing is, so you may not know this, but Carol Channing was the fourth choice for Hello, Dolly.
Oh, wow.
Was the first choice. And so his wish did come true at the very, very end, because Ethel Merman did appear in Hello, Dolly, and he gave her an extra song.
It's interesting you say that because that was the beginning of, to be cliche, it was the beginning of a beautiful friendship. Carol Channing, who I just adored, and I can't see, there's only really two people you could ever see playing Dolly. It's either Carol Channing or Barbara Streisand.
You've got to throw Pearl Bailey in there, because if you didn't
really, you think so?
Pearl,
and I love Pearl. Pearl was a Philly girl.
Let me tell you, Pearl Bailey's Hello, Dolly she made it her own. It was special.
Oh boy, she ad-libbed the whole show.
She had a kind of sass to her. Was really different. I mean, I would think it would be very difficult to go in.
That's because she's from Philly, Jane. She's a Philly girl.
There you go.
I'm telling you. I know this. She grew up 15 minutes from where I am right now.
Oh, she was amazing.
Oh my God, was she? Go ahead, Neil. Questions for Jane Dorian.
Yes, and I saw that he got the Kennedy Award, and I know that was a very proud moment for him. Did he want it? Did he think to himself, do I deserve this? Or?
Well, I happened to be there with him, because when you receive the Kennedy Center Award, you're only allowed to bring 5 guests.
Oh, wow.
I was lucky enough to be able to join him on that one. And I think that rather than feeling, do I deserve this or whatever, I think he was just so overwhelmed with joy, because when you see the greats
Mm-hmm.
and they're all performing your songs, and you're
Yeah, boy.
hearing that with that glorious orchestra, you're saying, is this really happening? And then, with President Obama, giving him the award and everything, the whole thing was a pretty heady, experience for him. And he was there with Paul McCartney and Oprah Winfrey and all the other amazing, amazing recipients that night. There's a reason why it's the highest honor, artistically in our country. And it's something that should be cherished and preserved.
It's remarkable to consider the notion that at some point, at any given time, somebody is performing a Jerry Herman composition somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not exaggerating in any way, shape, or form.
You're not. I mean, I approve rights. I mean, there's something going on in Czechoslovakia and Hungary and, in Germany. And I'm sure there'll be something happening in Japan. And there's Hello Dolly is opening with Caroline O'Connor in Paris. And we just closed Hello Dolly with Imelda Staunton in London. I mean, anywhere, everywhere, there's a production, because the shows bring such joy.
Jane, very early in his career, he garnered the moniker the Toast of Broadway. People almost immediately fell in love with him on the Broadway scene.
How could you not?
That's my question to you. Is what was it about his gift, his persona? What was it about that human being? And he was not a huge guy. He was a little guy.
He was about 5'6.5", 5'7". But
he was a short guy.
First and foremost, he was disarmingly handsome.
Mm-hmm.
Very handsome guy. I look,
Yeah,
I'll tell you.
Yes.
Okay, he was charming. He was personable, albeit a little bit shy, which is part of his charm.
Can I relate to that?
And he was incredibly talented. He would sit down at a party and start playing. And you also, let me take you back to New York City in the 1960s. Talent and intellectual prowess were really the currency of the realm. And so he would go to a party, or he would have backers auditions, and people would be wowed. And also, it was a time when we had universal values and goals. I mean, you think about something like Mame fighting bigotry. Yeah, everybody got that. So it wasn't like you were trying to do this esoteric kind of theme where only a few people could really relate to what you were talking about. He wrote for the masses.
Jane, one of the things and one of my points of conversation here, I have a few things that I have to talk about. One of those things is that you are the curator of all things Jerry Herman. Right now, there's I guess and correct me if I'm wrong about this, but my understanding is that I'm supposed to talk to you a little bit about the estate and the sale of the crypt.
Yes, so there are two.
Okay.
Let me help you out.
I have to say something before we even get there, because this is only in California, folks. If you guys are living anywhere other than California, you're like, this is bizarro land. Okay, first of all, there are some strange laws in Cali.
Okay, let me tell you, and this is not as bizarre as it sounds.
Okay.
So first thing is, you want to know, why is there an empty crypt? I want to make clear, Jerry is not in the crypt. So let's start there.
I knew that. I just wanted.
And the reason the crypt is available.
Set the record straight.
Exactly. Yeah. So the reason the crypt is available, in the 11th hour, Jerry decided he wanted to be buried next to his two best girls, his mother and my mother, in New Jersey. So that is where Jerry's interred. But okay, if you know anything about Pierce Brother Westwood Memorial Cemetery, you would know that is where the best and brightest stars are interned. You've got Marilyn Monroe, Hugh Hefner, you've got Billy Wilder, you've got Farrah Fawcett. I mean, I could go on and on and on.
And my understanding is he was right next to Hugh Hefner.
So he is, if you're looking at it in a linear fashion, Jerry's Crypt, Hugh Hefner, Marilyn Monroe. So,
wow, there you go.
Location.
Talk about some prime real estate. That's
exactly so
prime real estate.
Exactly. Yeah. So somebody wants to be, spend eternity next to arguably the two sexiest human beings that ever walked the face of the earth. This is your opportunity on October 25th. If you go to studioauctions.com, you will have that opportunity. And it's pretty wonderful. And just to be clear, just going on the macabre for a second, it's either one body or up to 4 cremated urns can occupy that crypt.
Oh, wow.
One thing I promise you is, given who the crypt mates are in the Hall of Memories, I promise you your relatives and friends will always come to visit you, because it is so much fun seeing who's buried there.
And it's on your screen at studioauctions.com. You can't make this stuff.
It's true.
You can't
one body or 4 cremations.
Let me talk to you about what remains of Jerry Herman's physical estate. Are you involved in that directly on a day-to-day basis?
Yes. So Jerry, again, going back to the philanthropy, so obviously he bequeathed a few items to special friends or to museums, Smithsonian, Library of Congress, and the like. But for some more personal things that remained, he wanted those auctioned, and he wanted the proceeds to help fund his foundation through the ASCAP Foundation to bring his programs and fund the scholarships. So on December 14th at Doyle.com, you will be able to bid on some of those items. Now, spoiler alert, his piano is up for auction.
Oh, wow.
Oh, my God. Are you serious?
Oh, I am serious. So his grand piano, and I think that would be a treasure for someone to have.
And it's a very simple site to remember. It's Doyle.com, folks.
Yes.
It's just as simple as that. And I'll tell you what, I've been there a few times. Check it out. It is it's a plethora.
Right.
It is a plethora of memorabilia, memories, for the serious collector.
Right.
This is not like buying, a Pete Rose baseball card.
No.
You better have some serious scratch behind you.
Right.
And also, one other spoiler alert is his Kennedy Center Award.
Oh, wow.
Oh, wow.
So, I mean, you need to love Jerry Herman. You need to love the musical theater, and you need to appreciate what all of this represents. And there's something for everybody. Price range.
I'll tell you what, Jane, I would love to have a piece of Jerry Herman memorabilia, but I'll just tell you straight up, I'm a poor schmuck from Jersey. Okay, we're in New Jersey here.
That's where Jerry was from.
I know, and that's
I live in Florida.
So close.
That's where he resides too.
Here's the thing, though. I might be able to afford a piece of paper from his stationery. That's about it.
That's okay. We'll find you something.
Find me something and let me know.
Right.
Amelia, questions for Jane.
Are you going to be keeping something of his memorabilia?
Well, the answer is, of course.
Yeah, all the good stuff.
No. You know what? I don't believe, Jerry was so generous with his music. And I feel a huge responsibility to make sure that all of his stuff is properly cataloged, and either through Library of Congress, Smithsonian, Lincoln Center Library. And, he was very clear, like gold records and stuff like that. That was not to be auctioned off. That wasn't for anyone to have. Those were the kinds of things that should be, in some sort of a facility where future generations can see it or experience it.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. That's amazing.
So my goal is to make sure that there are many productions of Jerry's works going on all of the time, and also to bring younger audiences, you know, I would love for Beyonce or for Lady Gaga to play one of the roles or to record his music, because his music is timeless.
Mhm.
And I'm just hoping that newer and younger generations can find it.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
As a actually getting permission right now to do this. As a special treat for Jane Dorian tonight, we are going to play an encore performance for you of Rosalind Kind singing
Ooh,
from the Jerry Herman songbook. So
love
we
it.
are going to do that for you. Amelia,
Yes.
you remember how lovingly she spoke of Jerry Herman on
Oh,
Monday night?
yes. With
And
kind heart and soul. Yes.
oh my God, please!
Well, he gave so much to the performers. So a great story, true story. Jerry wanted Angela Lansbury to perform in Mame. And so she had just come off of The Manchurian Candidate, where she was not an attractive or how can I say, sympathetic character, the exact opposite. So initially everyone said, no, I don't think so. But he knew she was Mame. So he taught her 2 of the big songs that he wrote. And when it was her turn to audition, he snuck into the pit and played those 2 songs for her. And when I'm serious. And when she sang those songs, she
how do you sneak into the pit if you're Jerry Herman? How do you do that?
When you're sort of a quiet, diminutive kind of a person, you can just kind of
Just sneak right on it.
He went into the pit and he played for her. And to hear Jerry play, it's like a 20-piece orchestra, which is even more amazing because he could not read or write music.
Oh, wow.
So he and Irving were the 2 composer lyricists that could not read or write music.
Isn't that remarkable?
It is. So he just snuck into the pit.
To me.
Yep, he snuck into the pit and he played for her, and the rest, as they say, is history because she so totally bowled them over.
Jane, this is a gift for you. Take a look.
All right.
It only takes a moment for your eyes to meet, and then your heart knows in a moment you will never be alone again. Before you half remember what her smile was like, before you half recall the day you found her, kiss her now while she's young. Kiss her now while she's yours. Kiss her now while she needs your arms around her. For if you let a moment come between you now, it soon becomes a day, a year, a lifetime. Blink your eye, turn your head, and you've lost her. And you'll spend half your life wondering how. So before you forget how you loved her, kiss her now, kiss her now, kiss her now. day, a year, a lifetime. Blink your eye, turn your head, and you've lost her. And you spend half your life wondering how. So before you forget how you loved her, kiss her now, kiss her now, kiss her
Wow, amazing.
That was beautiful. I had to play it again because I love that song. Yeah, that's those are classics from the Jerry Herman songbook. From Dear World and Hello Dolly.
Yes, some of the music from Dear World, because that was sort of, it did not meet with the same kind of success as Milk and Honey, Hello Dolly, and Mame. But the music, I think the song he is most proud of comes from Dear World, which is And I Was Beautiful. And he he always said that was the one song that he was able to strip anything and everything extraneous, and it was just the right lyric. It was so pure, and he said it's always easy to add lots of words. He said, but to strip it down to its essence is really, really hard. Less is more.
I was going to ask you about that. You know, songwriters particular, and in full disclosure, you know, I began my career in music, so I have a special place in my heart for it. But there's an interesting thing that happens with songwriters, composers particularly. They don't want to throw anything away. Songwriters and composers are notorious pack rats. They save everything they've ever written, hoping that maybe someday they'll use it for something.
Called trunk material, yes, and Jerry had it.
I was going to ask you.
They all do, because you never know when you're in a pinch and you need a new song.
Yep.
And one of the more interesting things is if you go to some of his off-Broadway shows, there's some great songs that wound up in some of the bigger songs that you might not know, like Show Tune Into 2/4 became It's Today.
Give some examples that people might know.
From Madame Aphrodite, I forgot the name of the song, but that went into Mame. I mean, into Dear World, and became And I Was Beautiful. That melody was there. The lyric obviously changed. So those are just two that come to mind. But you also have to remember that you start a show. So like Hello Dolly, it started as Damn Exasperating Woman. And it evolved, you know, through the tryouts and everything. So there was a song called Damn Exasperating Woman. There was a song called A Penny in My Pocket that was cut from the show that David Hyde Pierce asked to be put back in when he was Horace Van Gelder against Bette Midler, because he felt that Horace Van Gelder was a little gruff, and you just needed a little something to realize that he wasn't such a scoundrel after all. So
I was going to ask you, did Jerry have creative input over the casting of his shows? How involved was he?
Oh, of course. Yes. I mean, that was usually again a collaborative decision.
Well, and I asked that for a very specific reason. I'm sure you know that there are a number of composers who want to be involved in the entire process from start to finish. There are others, conversely, who just want to be involved with their music, and that's it. And they want nothing to do with casting, and they want nothing to do with production. Let me handle my music. That's what I do. And there are people like that. But Jerry apparently wasn't one of those guys.
No, Jerry, I think, struck the right balance. I used the word earlier, collaborative. He understood how important it was. But Jerry also, because of his work in college and at his
Right.
parents' camp, he did everything. So he was that one person that could say, I think that person needs an amber gel, because he understood that if you couldn't properly see someone, you couldn't hear them.
Yeah.
And okay, so and Jerry he wasn't trying to stick his nose in where it didn't belong. If ever
Yeah.
he had a suggestion, you could bet your bottom dollar, not only was it well considered, it was right. And he was very, very involved in orchestrations. So if the orchestrations can make or break a song, and so he was very, very hands-on on that one. And I think a lot of the leading ladies, because they loved him so much, they would lean on him a little bit, like, what do you think? How do I get more out of this? So, and Jane,
a group of women. Oh, I'm sorry, Jane. I
no.
stepped over you. There was a group of women called Jerry's Girls. There were, of course, Carol Channing, Ethel Merman, Joanne Worley, of all people. Joanne Worley. And oh God, who am I missing? I'm missing
Angela Lansbury.
one important one. Oh, not Liza. I don't think. Although it wouldn't surprise me, but there were a number of. In fact, there's a photo of it somewhere. I think it was in that video.
Well, there was Leslie Uggams, who's, if you're talking about the show. So,
I have a Leslie story. I got stuck in the elevator with Leslie Uggams during a hurricane. I did, for real.
Fun.
For real. Atlantic City. She was performing there, and we got stuck in an elevator. The power went out, and we were on between floors.
Oh, no.
Did you ever hear her sing I Am What I Am?
Yes, ma'am. I sure the hell have.
Oh, my God. I mean, I get goosebumps when I think about how
she's got a hell of a range. I got news for you.
Oh, she does. And you know what? She's not slowing down. She actually performed at Jerry's memorial. Michael Feinstein and I produced that.
Right.
And she's saying, I am what I am. I was getting worried that we were going to get thrown out of the theater because we were going to be so far behind in terms of our time.
Wow.
People, we could not stop cheering and applauding because her performance of that song may go down as one of the 5 best things I've ever seen in the theater.
Wow. That's saying something.
It certainly is. It certainly is.
Amelia, I am going to let you close this out, young lady, so go for it.
What would be the advice that he would give to anyone wanting to get into the business?
I think
do it.
No, I don't think he would say that, because he would understand that if you have that passion inside of you, nothing's going to stop you. But he would say to you, write. Don't stop writing. Don't worry if it's good or whatever, because it's that whole process. It's that whole creative process. I mean, I don't know if I have time for this or not, but Jerry's mother recognized his talent. Jerry really did think he was going to be a designer. And so he wrote the songs through camp and everything. And through the Mother Mafia, through a friend of a friend of a friend, she set up an appointment for Jerry and Alan Lesser. And, Lesser looked at his material and he said, Kid, he said, I really think you have something. Just keep on going. And that's the encouragement that you need to give somebody. Keep on going.
Oh, sure.
Look, it's insane that Jerry was, this kid wonder. He wrote his first Broadway musical when he was 24, 25 years old. I mean, that just doesn't happen. But it did for him. But that doesn't mean that it can't happen for somebody at
Sure.
Or
conversely, now, Jane, it's interesting. And Amelia asked you that question. My question would be the opposite. Who were Jerry's early influences?
So 100% Irving Berlin. I mean, number one. I mean, people say, well, who does he write like? I would have to say they have the same American spirit in their music. I mean, obviously he liked Frank Lesser. I think I said Alan. Frank Lesser. I think he obviously loved Cole Porter. There really wasn't anyone that he didn't like, but Irving Berlin was probably the
most favorite.
Yeah.
I would think people, and I mentioned this Monday night when Roz was here, Roz Kine was here. People like Cole Porter, Sammy Kahn, George and Ira Gershwin, Johnny Mercer,
Oh,
Burt
amazing.
Bacharach, Jimmy Van Heusen, Tim Rice, Marilyn and Alan Bergman,
Correct.
Jerome Kern, of
Jerome
course,
Kern's
your
amazing.
friend and Roz's friend Michael Feinstein.
Correct, but he doesn't write. He didn't write. But Jerry and Michael were like brothers, and Jerry did not like to play four hands on the piano.
Really?
The
Okay.
only because he played like a 20-piece orchestra. I mean, this was almost as miraculous as his composing.
Yeah.
But the only person he loved playing four hands with was Michael Feinstein, because they were like one heartbeat. I mean,
Really?
and the other thing too, I tease Michael and I say, you know, the older you get, the more you look like Jerry. And if they did
Wow.
23andMe, I would never be surprised if they found out that they shared some ancestry.
I'll tell you
Wow.
what, and now that you mention it, there is a striking, almost eerie resemblance between the two, especially if you looked at the picture I showed earlier of Jerry, probably 28, 30 years old.
Yeah.
Look at him in that picture, if you remember the video I showed, and look at Michael now.
Yep. And I have to say,
Remarkable.
Michael has done more to preserve the American Songbook. Michael has a library. I believe it's in Indiana, and he is honestly one of the greatest human beings God has ever put on this planet.
I have heard nothing but great things about Michael Feinstein. I'll tell you what, if you can help me, I would love to have him on this show.
Oh,
And
he would
maybe
be
bring
awesome.
you and him back together.
That's okay. It would be a love fest. That's all I can say.
I would, I'll tell you what, I have your number. I'm going to give you a call in a couple of days and see if we
All
can
right.
make that happen.
We will try.
Well, I have to let you go, young lady. We are up against the clock. Man, you want, this was like a master class in Jerry Herman.
Absolutely.
For real. Jane, you are a welcome guest. I tell you, a welcome guest anytime you wish to come here and talk
Yes, please.
all things
Thank
Jerry.
you.
And just if you want to hang out and talk music,
Yeah.
we're all
The
about
answer is
that.
yes, yes, and yes.
Even to
You
promote his
got it. I'll
auction
tell you
again.
what,
please
Amelia?
do that. Yes.
She's the guest you want to have.
Absolutely. Yes.
Absolutely. Well, on behalf of Amelia and myself, thank you so much for
Yes.
sharing your
Thank you.
family with us, your legacy, and keeping the memory and music, the legacy of Jerry Herman, alive and well. We call it the magical musical legacy of composer, lyricist, producer Jerry Herman. And Jane Dorian can be found at, I believe you can be found at Studio. Can they find you at Studio Auctions?
No, they can find me if they go to our website, jerryherman.com. Just
Gotcha. Okay. Jerryherman.com, you guys.
easy enough, right?
Right.
Absolutely. I'm going to put it up on the screen for everybody. And there you go. Hot damn.
Awesome. And I will respond.
There it is. Jerryherman.com.
Beautiful. Well, thank you so much for having me.
Thank you
thank you
for
so
being here.
much.
I'll tell you what, you're amazing and you're welcome anytime.
Anytime.
You have a great rest of the day.
You
And it's still sunny in California. It's
I know,
pitch
right?
black here.
Yeah.
It's black as night in New Jersey right
Yeah,
now.
we have a
Take
storm
care.
here, so
Oh, well, stay safe.
thank you.
Jane, give my regards to everyone on Hollywood and Vine.
I will. Take care.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Wait,
That was a great show.
that was amazing.
That was a good one. JerryHerman.com, ladies and gentlemen, is where you can find all things Jerry Herman. Jane Dorian can be reached there.
Mhm.
And what an amazing lady.
Mhm.
What an amazing legacy,
Wow.
Jerry Herman. Remarkable. What did you learn tonight, Amelia?
He's a wonderful composer, and I didn't know he didn't know how to read music. That is amazing.
It's remarkable.
That's somebody that didn't
People
know how to
don't
read music.
understand. I don't really think people understand how important his music is, Because if you think about people today,
Right.
now he passed in 2019.
Right.
He did his first show in 1960.
60. Yes.
Okay? That's a long time ago. That's
Right.
60, almost 70 years ago.
Yes.
And they're still playing his music
Oh.
today.
Oh yeah. My brother-in-law plays it a lot in his ballroom dancing. A lot
Well,
of that.
yeah, well, it's
Yes.
great dance music for
Oh
sure.
yes.
Oh my God, are
It
you
is.
kidding me?
Mhm.
Oh, great dance music. What do we got going on, kid?
Well, I know in
What's coming up?
October the 8th, we have Aleister Crowley coming back.
Alistair's coming back, the master of macabre.
Yes.
He likes to, he's a scary guy sometimes. He's a good-looking guy. I want to smack him, but he writes some weird stuff, you know.
Good horror. Yeah, it's amazing. His book. His book
How do you
6 is
say
already.
good and horror in the same breath? Excuse me.
It's a great book.
Oh
Book
my
6
God,
actually
this
came
what
out
I have to deal
today.
with, folks.
Book 6 actually came
Anyway,
out
that was a hell of a
today.
show. That was
Yeah.
a hell of a show tonight.
Yeah.
We have speaking of music.
Yes.
Speaking of music, I want to tell everybody.
Yes. Yes.
'Cause I'm proud of this, okay?
Mm-hmm.
We're doing 3 nights of tribute to music from New Jersey. And people would say to themselves, well, how can you possibly fill 3 nights?
Well.
Let's talk about Frank Sinatra, Bruce Springsteen, John Bon Jovi. Let's talk about Southside Johnny and the Asbury Jukes. Let's talk about Stephen Van Zandt, Clarence Clemens. Let's talk about Bruce Willis. Let's talk about all these. Yes, Bruce Willis sang, folks.
Yeah.
He sure did, and made records.
And he played the saxophone
sold a
too,
lot of
didn't he?
music. He sure the hell did. It wasn't just an actor from Die Hard. He
No.
was a musician too, and played the guitar.
Mm-hmm.
But there are a number of people from my my beloved state here that were incredibly gifted, talented people. Frankie Valli in the Four Seasons.
Yeah, a lot of actors and singers came
You
from
know,
New Jersey. Yes.
a lot of people. You know, Frankie Avalon and Bobby Rydell were both from Philly, but they were from here too. They had houses here. Fabian, there's a name for you, Fabian.
Fabian.
Remember him? Turn me loose.
Yeah.
Turn me loose. Anyway. Oh God, I just embarrassed myself.
He's gonna start. He's
15
gonna bring his
million people.
albums out, people.
My album will be out in a couple of years.
Right.
It'll take me that long to find songs to fill one. Oh my God, please. Oh, that's why I'm a radio announcer. I can't sing. Okay, I sing at home where nobody can hear me. But if you want to hear my voice, that I could do for you.
Mm-hmm.
But we had a great night, Amelia.
We did.
This was a good one.
Yes,
it was a good one. On behalf of Amelia, the Pitbull Chapman, I am Angelo, the Mad Dog DeCipio, and this is America's Popcast. What's the buzz? We are going home. Folks, we will see you, Lord willing, and the creek don't rise on Monday night. And if the creek rises, you better have me a boat handy.
especially here in Florida and around Georgia.
I saw a video of a tsunami today, and it was nasty, boy. I tell you what. Listen, folks, be nice to each other. God bless you. We'll see you then. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.